Understand, I'll fight the young guys, but Keith Thurman ain't no gatekeeper. If I am, that gate's welded shut.
Yep, you know what time it is, man. This is, of course, your favorite channel, man, CTB. It's your chance to boxing. I'm your boy, Jay Slay. Turn it up to him, man.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in.
Most definitely. You know what you're tuning into, man. This is a show we call here Chin Check. It's when we rock you guys' chin with boxing news, boxing information, and boxing rumors. Sometimes we put some money in you guys' pocket by giving you the odds of the fight. But right now, man, we want to talk about the latest of ESPN gossip. I call it gossip because damn sure ain't news, man. They have been wrong on every major announcement they have made. So that shit, in my opinion, when it comes to boxing, ESPN is nothing more than a gossip channel, man. I'm just go ahead and say it, man. Errol Spence Jr. has been supposedly signed in his what is it in works? It said in works, or was it signed? I forgot.
Agreed to.
Agreed.
That's so their favorite word now.
Yeah, it's that favorite word. It said Keith Thurman and Errol Spence has been agreed to all the terms. I think it said it's been finalized or some shit like that. But it was finalized to be at the 154. So it's a whole lot there. It's a whole lot in that little gossip column that I want to break down in this video. That we want to kind of see if we can dissect it here at CTB, man. So first, let me say this, man. What you think about the Keith Thurman fight being rumored to be the next fight for Errol Spence? How you feel about that?
Not a surprise. Like I said, you said with Mike Coughlin of ESPN, I think he knows some things, but I think he tried to put the puzzle together and try to be the first out there. So he tried to throw something out there so he can say, I told y'all before anybody else did. But I think if you really look at everything he said, it seems like he's a little off on some of the details. But I do believe that Thurman is the next fight because, I mean, money-wise and PBC, it makes the most sense. So, I mean, me and you could have came out and said Keith Thurman and Spence going to fight next in the spring. And we probably would have been 90% right on that because who else is left that he can fight if it's not Bud next? So, I mean, as far as the Keith Thurman part, I kind of believe that he is fighting Keith in the spring. Now, these other details we can go off, talk about, we got to try to figure out what we think is real and what we think is bullshit.
Yeah, most definitely. I think we did call it. We called it a few episodes ago. We was like, Keith Thurman was bound to be next because he was getting in shape. You see him you follow him on Instagram, you see he getting in shape. And I said I think it was our last show, I think I talked about it. I think I said the only thing that will motivate Keith Thurman to get that weight off like he doing is a payday, because he damn sure ain't fighting for legacy, in my opinion. So of course him to get that weight off the way he's working at it, he's making a case to get that fight. And of course, it was rumored that the WBC has mandated. Well, it wasn't a rumor. They pretty much came out themselves and said it. The WBC pretty much said that Keith Thurman was next, and that it was mandating that fight next. Which also we're gonna break that down later on in this video. But yeah, I'm like you, man. We knew it was next. We knew it was coming next. Like you said, once Terrence Crawford had his fight last month, we knew that Earl wasn't gonna wait a whole year for his next fight either, which probably if he does fight Keith Thurman, it will be a year. I think it will be a year, right? His last fight was in April. Mm-hmm. So it will be a year out of the ring. So we both kind of know that then you run these guys want to fight cold. I wouldn't want Earl to fight cold the same way I wouldn't want Crawford to fight each other cold. So for me being a Crawford fan, I hear a lot of Crawford fans are hating. Me being a Crawford fan myself, I would say I would prefer it this way. I prefer, especially coming off of Spencer's last performance, I want him to have a little more. And we already said in the previous video as well, how we talked that Keith Thurman pie was the better gauge on how to beat Errol Spence, how to beat Terrence Crawford because of the movement. So I'm gonna ask you that question too. Come off the Ugas win, we both kind of agreed that wasn't a great parameter or a great fight to come off of and fight somebody with the style of Crawford. So do you feel a lot more confident that Crawford versus Spence fight can be next? Seeing that Keith Thurman is in my opinion, a better warm-up fight when it comes to the Crawford fight next?
Of course. I think that we both talked about this last year. At the end of the year, we said that even though Spence might have wanted Crawford first, PBC, if the plan worked out perfect like they wanted to, they probably would want him to fight Keith Thurman first because he's an in-house fighter. And also, like you said, by him being not so stationary and he can move, he could be somewhat of a fighter that he can prepare for and be a sparring session, I guess you could say, to prepare for the movement he might have to deal with Terrence Crawford. So, yeah, I think it's good for him because like you said, with Ugas, even though it was an impressive win, Ugas and Terrence Crawford don't fight nowhere near the same. I don't think him and Keith Thurman really fight the same, but the movement moving on their feet, making see how Earl Spence is gonna react to somebody that's not gonna be still, and he can't land those shots because the guy won't be there. How he's gonna react to that? So I think to me it's the perfect high profile fight tune-up for him to get prepared for Terrence Crawford.
If Earl Spence does go in there and stop Keith Thurman, do you think that fans would say the same thing they said about Sean Porter when Terrence Crawford stopped Sean Porter? Would you say that? Would you think the fans would say that, Keith Thurman's mind wasn't in the fight and Keith Thurman wasn't the same Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman was washed and he was just looking for a payday? Do you think he would get that same response that Sean Porter did?
By the fan base, yes. By like with Terrence Crawford, more the Earl Spence fan base, that's what they kind of said. And I think with this fight, more the Terrence Crawford fan base going to bring up that point and bring up that Bud fight and say, hey, this guy was 1 foot out the door like Porter, right? And y'all said he went all the way there. So if you're not going to give Bud credit for Porter, you can't give him credit for Thurman. So it's going to be the fan base of Bud definitely going to call that out to the Spence fan base and want answers. But yeah, he definitely going to get on that bicycle and start running. And once he take a couple of those blows to the stomach, he gonna think about that flute and think about the island and think about that bag of money, and he gonna pretty much go in survival mode and just try to survive the fight. That's gonna be more the question. Can he survive, or will he get stopped for the first time in his career?
Yeah, I think he's gonna go in there winging bombs. I'm gonna be honest. He's gonna go in there winging punches, and I mean, like you said earlier, this is his next shot to win. He can go in there winging punches early and hope that he can buckle Spence. I think Keith Thurman's at that point now where even if he gets Spence buckled, if he buckled him a few times in the fight but still get stopped, I think he can retire happy at that level.
Yeah, he will.
But you got anything else you want to add to this topic?
I think we covered it all. Hopefully we get some news and actual announcement from one of the fighters. Cause like me and you, we like to go on with the fighters say. So if on their social media, if they post about the fight, we'll come right back up here and do a review. We'll talk about the fight once we find out all the details.